Alright, what's going on everybody? It's yet another deck profile. Pretty much is going to be Perona. So I've been having a lot of fun with this deck, and I can't wait for it to come out in OPCG. She's probably going to be one of the leaders I get alongside Yamato. And I'm having a lot of fun with this, especially since it's dealing with graveyard stuff technically with one card in here. It's only one card and it's obviously Gecko Moria. But let's just get right into it. It's green-black Perona. I've done a video with this deck already, and it was fun to play and it was fun to record, and I didn't really do a deck profile because I didn't know if I really wanted to cover this or not, but I feel like I should because I'm having good results with it and I'm having a pretty good time with it. So green black Perona, it's 4 life, and she has an activate main once per turn ability where you get to choose one or the other, so you either get to rest a 4 or less or you get to -1 cost. So not bad if you ever need that extra 1 cost down. But we're actually not working on that part of the leader ability actually, because the way I built this deck actually doesn't really need the -1 cost to it. You're mostly using the 4 or less because of some stuff in here that helps you with the 4 or less. So you're mostly, with this deck build I have, you're mostly running the rest 1 4 or less card. So yeah, green black Perona. For starters, Drake, right? Staple Drake, 5-drop 6k body with a KO of 4 or less, which is why you're mostly running the first ability with this leader. It's pretty much because I have cards that work off of that. So you rest it with leader and then you KO stuff with green stuff. So Drake, you run 4 of him, not to mention he's a counter, so that's why you KO 4 or less. Next up is Viola. Viola is just a 2k counter. I'm running some Don Quixote Pirates in here if you can't tell. So Viola is a 2k counter. She's mostly just here for the 2k counter, and she's searchable off of Baby 5. Next up is Don Quixote Doflamingo himself, the 10-drop. He's your main big body, even though you do have Gecko Moria for that Dawn 8 turn. He's just good to have because he keeps stuff frozen, so yeah, you run 3 of him. Next up is Rosinante. He's the 2-drop blocker. He's just a good blocker, and he's here to pretty much keep your stuff up that's trying to get KO'd by abilities. So like you're gonna want to use him for for Baby 5 or Kuzan right here. So that's why I run 4 of him. And he's mostly, you can play him like if you're going second. Every time I go second and I have him in hand, I always just play him because most of the time people don't really have an answer that early on in the game to get rid of him. So he's gonna be on board on Dawn too, unless someone really doesn't want him on board. So he's good. And then Baby 5, right? Jewelry Bonnie for Don Quixote Pirates, to sum it up. So she's here because you're searching for 10-drop Dofi. You're here to get him and then probably Rosinante himself. Or you can even grab the event card down here. So she's good just to have. And you can also grab a 2k if you really need some extra counter in hand. So that's why I'm running Viola. You could run like other 2k counters that are green and black. Like you could run, I've seen some people run Tashigi in this deck, but you don't really need Tashigi because if you play here, again, you're using Tashigi to just minus Dawn. But you mostly want her for 2k counter, so I just switched her out for Viola instead of like everybody else running Tashigi. I just run Viola. So yeah, Baby 5 helps you grab these 3 right here and the event and even herself. So, and next up is Ryuma, right? Of course I'm gonna run Ryuma in Perona. I feel like he's only gonna be ran in Perona because even though he has the same ability as Drake, he's cheaper. He's cheaper for the same attack power, and it's an on-play and on-KO ability, and you're mostly playing him, right? You're raw summoning him, and then if he dies, he gets the same effect. And I run 4 of him because if I have Gecko Moria in hand, I just rest something that's 4 or less with leader, play Gecko Moria, and then play Ryuma off of Gecko Moria, and then I just KO something. So you run 4 of him, plus since he's not counterable, you can use him to trash off of this event card right here, and you can also trash him off of this Saba right here. So that's why I run 4 of him. If you don't really need him on board, or if you need a card in hand to trash for like Sabo and this event, then he's good for trash fodder. Not to mention his ability is really good because it's on play and on KO. So really good for this deck. Next up is Kuzan, and the reason why I'm running only 2 of him because he's not counterable, right? He does help with the -4 stuff, but in most games, I don't really see myself having a problem with getting rid of stuff through cost. because most of the time I'll just have big bodies or blockers on board because I have 3 of them in here. So I don't really need to like KO things as much as I do. If you really wanted to, you could like boost this Kuzan up to 3 or 4 if you wanted to, and get rid of like maybe a baby 5 and maybe 1 Ryuma. But I just run 2, right? He's just good for a nice little tech if you want to get more cost down, and he also helps you with draw, right? On play draw, and then you have a body for next turn. So he's good against like other greens, right? He's good against red if they can't get his power down. So I only run 2 of them. And next up is Sudo. So this is also why I don't run Tashigi, right? Because I'm running Sudo. Because even though Tashigi I think minus is 3 cost, Sudo does pretty much the same thing at minus is 2, which is just enough, right? You only really need 2. And she's also 2k counter. So like she, unlike Tashigi, you can either play her or you can 2k counter her. With Tashigi, you kind of just want to play her for the minus 3, because you can 2k counter with Tashigi too. But I just feel like that's a waste of Dawn. That's a waste of body on board when you could be spending like 3 Dawn on something else. Like you could attach to leader, attach those 3 Dawn to like something else on your board that could use it, or say you have like more than 5 Dawn, you don't want to spend 3 Dawn just to play Tashigi and not do anything with it. So like Sudo will do the same thing pretty much. So she's here for the 2k counter and the minus cost if you really need to minus cost and get something out of the board with Drake or Ryuma. So yeah, she's here for that. And next up is Kizuru. Why wouldn't I be running Kizuru? It's like Black's best blocker. So yeah, and you can play him off of Gecko Moria. So like, say you need a blocker next turn and you want to play Gecko Moria for a big body, you just play Gecko Moria, bring him from trash, and pretty much set. You have a big body and a blocker next turn. So, and he can't be KO'd on your opponent's turn. So perfect. And he's a 6k blocker. Perfect. So he fits pretty well with this deck. So it's like Don Quixote family and Navy pretty much with this deck. And next up is Virgo. So this is another card you can search off of Baby 5. I totally forgot he has the other archetype of being Don Quixote family as well. So you can actually grab Virgo off of Baby 5 as well. So Virgo I'm running in here is because like even though he's a 2k counter, like you could be using it for counter, he's actually won me a couple games with just having those stats. Like even though it's a 5-drop 5k, with 1 Dawn, it's a 6k swing for 5 Dawn. Technically 6 because you got to put a Dawn on him. But he can't be KO'd by battle. So like they're going to have to use some Dawn to get rid of him with effects if he has a Dawn on him. So like it's good most of the time I'm only having like 1 or 2 of them on board at best. Most of the time though, it's probably only going to be 1. So it really depends board state and like what do you think the best play will be with this card. So he's like, this is the like #1 card that has like a lot of options pretty much. He's like the #1 options card in this deck. So yeah. He's just good. And then Sabo. So it's Sabo. Everybody knows what Sabo does. Draw 2, trash 2, and then your cards can't be KO'd by effects. So the reason why I'm running him in here is because if you really want to keep something on board and you want a blocker on board, play him and they can't be KO'd. Not to mention he goes really well with this Virgo, because if you already have this Virgo on board or you have enough Dawn to just do that, which you won't because Sabo has 5, he costs 5, and you need a Dawn on him to do it. If you already have a Virgo on board, right, next turn you play this Sabo, and then you attach 1 Dawn to him, Virgo can't be killed by battle, and Virgo can't be killed by effects. So if you're going against anybody that, like, if you're going against Black, right, they can't kill him through effects because of Sabo, and if you're going against anybody who likes to swing big, they can't kill him because he can't be killed by battle. So these two together have a really good combo together because Sabo makes it to where he can't be killed by effects, and then he just can't be killed by battle. So yeah, the only way you're getting rid of this guy, this Virgo out, the only way you're getting rid of Virgo from board, and if Sabo's out, is if you're playing against a blue player, right? They'll just return him to the bottom of the deck with like 3,000 rolls or something. So that's like the only situation they'll probably be getting rid of this guy, if you have both these guys on board and both their abilities go off. So yeah, that's like the negative side to it, but to cover all bases with the other colors besides blue is pretty good with just these 2 cards. Next up is Gecko Moria. He's your sub big body because you're mostly using him to bring back Ryuma, and even though he has a big body, that's good to have. Right, you could either bring back Ryuma or you could bring back a blocker. You could bring back this guy, and then you can even bring back this Rosinante because 8-drop Gecko Moria lets you grab a 4-drop in active mode from your graveyard, and you get to play a 2-drop from your graveyard as rested mode. So you could play Gecko Moria if you really want a big body instead of trying to KO something with Ryuma. You could just grab Borsalino in active mode and then grab Resonante in rested mode. And they could go for a Resonante, right, because he's rested. But most likely they won't because it's just a 1k body. Just being able to grab Resonante from your graveyard with him is good because if you have another rested card and he's not on board and they try to kill that rested card, you could just kill him instead because it doesn't matter if Resonante is rested or not. So yeah, that's why I only run 3 of him because I don't really see myself playing him as much. I play like maybe 1 to 2 a game. So yeah, 3 is pretty good. Next up is Perona, the last character card. She's a 2k. Why wouldn't I run Perona and Perona, right? Not to mention the on-play is really good if they have 5 or more cards in hand. And, you know, the ability you get from it is actually pretty good. You either make them discard 1 card or you make them have one of their characters -3. So she's also another card that helps you -3. That's why I'm not running Toshigi. Because Toshigi does the exact same thing, you -3. And she's just a bigger body. She's also the same amount of counter. So she's a 2k counter, a bigger body, and she does the same exact ability. But your opponent has to be 5 cards in hand. 5 or more cards in hand, which most likely they will with this meta. Like Anel's will always have a big hand. So like if you really need to get rid of something through cost, then just play her because Anel's will have a big hand. Like most of the Luffy's will have a big hand, and who else? Sakazuki will have a big hand. So like, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. And then lastly, whoever wins this war becomes Justice. I only run 2 of it because I really need it because again of all the blockers and pretty much all my big bodies. I run 2 of it because it's also searchable off of Baby 5. It's also my only triggerable card, but you're not really using it for the trigger, right? It's only you rest up 4 or less, which is good, right? Because the next turn you could just play like a Ryuma or a Drake, so the trigger's not bad. But I'm mostly using it for the counter because you could just trash Ryuma with it, or you could trash something else you don't need. Like say you really need counter early game, you just trash one of your big bodies. So it really differs in board state again. So yeah, this is pretty fun. Again, I had a lot of results with this. One of them I recorded and it's on the channel. And I've just been playing a lot of games with it to begin with. Thanks to the sim, we're actually able to play decks that aren't out yet here in America. So yeah, I've gotten, you know, results with it. It's good. I win some, I lose some, right? But I'm winning more with it than I am losing. So it's pretty fun. Of course, there's always different builds to have. I just feel like the Don Quixote Pirates work really well with it, and then the Navy / like Thriller Bark stuff is pretty fun. So yeah, this is Perona. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully you want to try to build Perona and work around it to make it your own little take. Before I keep rambling on, this is the end of the video. Can't really say much else. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in whatever I make next.